right, everybody. So to start off this video, we are going to talk about the bonus questions from the very first trig test you guys took. And on that test, I told you guys that it turns out that for any angle ever, if you take the sine of the angle and square it, you take the cosine of the angle and square it, and you add those two things together, you always get the same number. So I thought we should check this out with a particular angle, and then we'll figure out why this is generally true. So let's say we started with 30 degrees. The sine of 30 degrees we know is a half. And then if you were to square that, the sine squared of 30 degrees, you would get a fourth. All right, the cosine of 30 degrees is the square root of 3 over 2. And if you were to square that, well, root 3 squares to 3, 2 squares to 4. So if I add the sine squared of 30 and the cos squared of 30, I get a fourth plus 3/4. Turns out this adds up to exactly 1. And that is true for absolutely every angle ever. And you can actually very easily prove this if you think about sort of like the basic definition of what it means to take the sine of an angle and the basic definition of what it means to take the cosine of an angle. So for any angle, sine is defined as y over r. So if I square that, I have y squared over r squared. And then cosine is x over r. So if I square that, I'm looking at x squared over r squared. So if you add these two things up, you will get x squared plus y squared over r squared. Okay, so let's look at a circle for just a second. In any given circle, it turns out that the x-coordinate squared plus the y-coordinate squared always adds up to the radius squared because of the Pythagorean theorem. It is always true for a circle that x squared plus y squared is exactly the same as r squared. So if I look at this expression right here, x squared plus y squared just is r squared. Sine squared plus cosine squared for any angle ever will always be r squared over r squared. It will always add up to exactly 1. This is what's known as a Pythagorean identity. It's called Pythagorean because it's based around the Pythagorean theorem. And it's called an identity in math because an identity in math is anything where the left side is always exactly the same as the right side. It's basically like the left side is looking at itself in the mirror. They share the same identity. So that is considered a Pythagorean identity. And on your first trig test, as the second part of the bonus question, I gave you an equation wherein I said you needed to use that identity to solve. So here's the equation that was on your test. I asked you to solve for exact values of theta between 0 and 2 pi. Yes, we are getting back out that chart of special angles. I asked you guys to solve where is the sine squared of theta minus the sine of theta equal to the cosine squared of theta. And there's a couple of different ways to do this problem, but the main issue here is that I'd like to factor this problem, but it currently involves more than one type of trig. It involves both sines and cosines, so it's not really a good candidate for factoring right now. But this Pythagorean identity gives me a connection between sine squareds and cosine squareds, such that I'm going to be able to get the whole equation just in terms of sines. So here's sort of the most popular way to do this problem. You would look and you would say, cosine squared. Can I rewrite that in terms of sines so that everything's in terms of sine so that I can factor? Well, yeah. If I look up at this identity right here, it's very easy to just subtract sine squared from both sides and say, another definition for cos squared is just going to be 1 minus sine squared. It is always the case that a cosine squared can be replaced with 1 minus sine squared. And with that little switch, this equation becomes one that can be solved quite easily. I'm going to get it equal to 0, so minus 1 plus sine squared. And I'll be looking at 2 sine squared theta minus the sine of theta minus 1 equals 0, which is precisely the sort of equation that we were solving back when we were all in school together. What happy times those were. So real quick, we know that we can factor this equation. And since I want to have minus sign in the middle, I'm going to have minus 1 here, plus 1 here. So this equation is solved when the sine of theta is negative 1/2, or when the sine of theta is equal to exactly 1. And so if you go back and you remember all of the special angles we talked about earlier, I know that a sine of negative 1/2 must have a reference angle of pi over 6. So I'm looking at 7 pi over 6 as well as 11 pi over 6. And if I want sine to point 100% upwards, that is pi over 2. Nice. So really the only new thing here is that we can use the Pythagorean identity to get the equation all in terms of the same type of trig, which allows me to get it to equal to 0, factor, and solve. All right, so it turns out that this is actually not the only Pythagorean identity. There are 2 other Pythagorean identities that you can very easily derive from the first. So what I will say is a lot of mathematicians have this thing very readily memorized, and then they just quickly derive the other 2 from it. So here's what I mean by deriving. It turns out I can divide this identity, I can divide every single part of it by the same thing and get a new identity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide all 3 parts of that by the cosine squared of theta. Okay, so sine over cosine is tangent, meaning sine squared over cos squared makes tan squared. Cos squared divided by cos squared is, of course, just 1. And then 1 over cos makes secant, so 1 over cos squared should be sec squared. This is also considered to be a Pythagorean identity. It is always true, provided the left side and the right side are both defined. And there is one more Pythagorean identity that you might be able to guess I get by going back to the original, and I'm just to divide all the pieces by sine squared theta. So sine squared over sine squared is, of course, 1. Cos over sine would be cotangent, so this is going to be cot squared of theta. And then 1 over sine squared makes cosec squared theta. So these are the 3 Pythagorean identities. They give you very easy ways to make switches between different types of trig so that you can sort of more easily manipulate expressions. And like I said, a lot of mathematicians don't memorize all of them. They know this first one and then they quickly derive the other 2 from there. So let me show you an equation where we might use a different one. Let's say I had asked for you to solve on the interval 0 to 2 pi the equation, the tangent cubed of theta plus the secant squared of theta is equal to 3 times the tangent of theta plus 4. So this equation, similar to the one we were just looking at, is a little bit intimidating because it's not all the same type of trig. But I have tangents and I have secants. And I know from my second Pythagorean identity that tangents and secants actually work really well together. Specifically, what I can do is I can say this secant squared is precisely the same as tan squared plus 1. And if I just make that simple replacement, this equation can become tan cubed theta plus tan squared theta. I'm going to subtract this stuff over from this side. Minus 3 tan theta, and then 1 minus 4 makes minus 3. Again, I am happy, first of all, because I'm with all of you, and because this is an equation I know how to factor. It's got 4 terms, so it's actually a great candidate for a factor by grouping. So if I go up to this corner here, if I just do some quick factoring, I'm going to have tan squared theta times tan plus 1 minus 3 times tan plus 1 equals 0. So we are looking at tan squared of theta minus 3 times the tangent of theta plus 1. So my friends, the solutions to this equation are going to be where the tangent squared of theta equals 3 and where the tangent of theta is equal to negative 1. So just a couple reminders from back when we were doing problems like this all the time. I am going to need to take the square root in this problem, and when you choose to take the square root, you need to make sure you have a plus or minus. So this is going to be tan theta is plus or minus square root of 3. That is going to give you a whole family reunion of angles. And then tangent is going to be -1 at these two angles where you have a slope of -1. So I've got absolutely everything in my pi over 3 family. All those bad boys in the pi over 3 family. And then those two things where the tangent is -1, those are 3 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. Again, much of this is stuff you could have done on your first trig test, provided you remember all those special angles. The key is using the Pythagorean identity to get it all in terms of the same type of trig, so that you can get it equal to 0, you can factor, and you can solve. Alrighty, so as we close out this video, I just want to point out that not every problem involving multiple types of trig is a good one to use a Pythagorean identity for. So I just wanted us to see an instance where you don't need to use one of these things, just so we don't overuse them. So an example problem where you might not want to use these things is if we were going to solve for 0 to 2 pi, the equation, the sine of theta times the tangent of theta minus the sine of theta is equal to 0. This equation does have two types of trig in it. It has both sines and tangents. But I want to point out it is definitely not a problem where you're going to use a Pythagorean identity. And there's two important reasons for that. One is that nothing in this problem is squared. And so I just wanted to say really clearly for everybody, these identities are only allowed to be used when you have squares. It is the case that the sine squared of theta plus the cos squared of theta is equal to 1. It is not the case that just regular sine plus regular cosine equals 1. So these are only applicable when things are squared, just like the Pythagorean theorem only works with squares. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So for starters, I definitely don't want to use a Pythagorean identity when nothing is squared. Also, it's not really useful for me to use a Pythagorean identity here because I have a better tool. So I want to point out, a tool you don't want to forget about is that if you have an equation that's equal to 0, even if there's multiple types of trig in it, you still always have the very first tool of factoring. What's the very first tool of factoring from Algebra 1? Look for a GCF. In this particular problem, even though I have different types of trig, I have a sine in this term and I have a sine in this term. I don't care that I have different types of trig because I can take out my GCF of sine theta. And once it's out, I will have left tan theta minus 1. So if I'm going to solve this equation can be solved wherever the sine of theta is equal to 0. So that's an angle that's not pointing up or down. That would be at 0 and at pi. And it's solved whenever the tan of theta is equal to 1. So that's a perfect slope of 1. That's looking at pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. Spectacular. So you're going to do a little bit of solving today. And I'll say most of the problems that you solve have multiple types of trig in them, and you're going to need to use a Pythagorean identity. But don't forget, even if you have multiple types of trig, if when it's equal to 0 you can take out a GCF, that's actually a totally fast and easy tool to solve that equation there. Good luck, my friends.